PlayStation. Easily one of the best-selling names in gaming history. When you look up the sales figures of the PlayStation, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, and PlayStation 4, you see they are some of the best-selling consoles ever. I will bang on for days on end about the PlayStation 2 because it is one of the best consoles ever created. It is the best-selling console ever created if we ignore the PC, which has more modular parts which you can switch out, but we'll forget about that because consoles are mostly about a solid system that you don't switch out parts and fiddle with. However, 2 generations on, we now have what is meant to be 2 times better, 2 times greater in every single way, and we're at the end of its lifespan, and it's really not the best console. It's not improved upon what once was, or what once we had, with a catalogue of games larger than the amount of pies that your mum and I have eaten. Even with the larger scope of modern video games, the console has not outsold its predecessor by 2 generations. The estimated, I'm going to say estimated because numbers may have shifted by the time that this is out or by the time that I actually read this and such, but the PlayStation 4 has roughly sold about 110.4 million units. You know, the big bulky thing that pokes you in the ribs if you move it from room to room. Yes, that very annoying shape. Like a large amount of you, I own multiple systems, both across the Sony range and across other ranges such as Microsoft and Nintendo. It's become common to experiment with your console ownership and such. I'll say it right now, I love the Nintendo DS, and the Switch is getting there. It's just not... I have gripes with that one. I'll possibly talk about that one later on. Nevertheless, with a bit of experimentation and such, I have checked out the other features of systems and what other systems are doing better and what is done worse, and we'll just ignore UI because none of them seem to think that's important. But there is one thing that is fairly important, and fairly important to me in particular. Headphones. Headphones and audio are 2 things that I desperately use every single time that I play. Some of you may be similar in this respect by only playing at 3 AM and wanting to not wake up the neighbours, your other half, a baby, or anyone else. Now, I'll be very careful with my words here, because I know people are fans of specific consoles and they have allegiances to what they do and how they work and just the name themselves without any care about the actual functionality of the system or, you know, the storefront that is epic and such and so on and provoking people. The PlayStation 4 is shit. I may be alone in this steadfast standpoint, but the PlayStation 4 is one of the worst consoles ever to use headphones anywhere. Okay, yes, I will point out that the Xbox One Elite controller does have an issue with headphones, and recognizing the fact that I have headphones plugged in because the jack is cheap crap and the motherboard within the controller is a bit picky with deciding, hey, yeah, you've plugged things in. Good on you. It'll take in the charging bit, or the wire for charging, or whatever you want to call that bit. But otherwise, it's a bit crap. The PlayStation 4 controller is a million times worse. Definitely a million times worse, mostly because the big bloody light on the back that drains the battery like your mum drains the bakery. And the headphone jack, well, that does work every time, and it does function as a headphone jack. It does provide you with audio, but, and this is the crux of my argument, it is very crap. Very, very, very crap, in fact, if you want to record something. If you want to record something through external hardware and upload that footage to YouTube, let's say, or do some kind of editing with video editors. It is dreadful to play on because you don't get real-time audio. Okay, let me back up a second. For many in the YouTube community and those that record console footage, they will use a thing called Elgato. It's a very popular system between those that record things on consoles and sometimes PC, but we'll forget about that for a minute because there's better software already built in with the stuff and the things and the... The Elgato itself is a fairly cheap and easy system. It does what it does. It's fine. Now, there's two variants since the release of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One. The former, the one released before and has been used for many a year, has been functional. It does work, and it does work well for many people. It's a great little box that just records things and encodes things as well as it should. And it does older systems. The more modern variant does also include an audio jack where you can plug things into the PlayStation 4 and then into the Elgato, then back round to your headphones. But, and this is the important bit, that's kind of expensive just for a PlayStation 4 improvement. The Xbox One itself, I don't know if this was the case when the console first released, but the console now, at least, does include an option in the software where you can switch between audio only to the controller, and that cuts all audio through the HDMI. You can split the audio, or you can tell the audio just to go to the HDMI while you get chat if you play multiplayer games with the controller. That's fine. I like that. I like that system more, mostly because, well, that functions both for myself and for others. You can have the TV on and you can have it functioning as it would. You can have audio, you don't have to mute it, you don't have to do all this guff, but you can have all the audio filtered through the controller. That's great. Love that. I think that's ace. The PlayStation 4, on the other hand, does not allow this, and it will only filter the audio either through the HDMI port or the little headphone jack that will drain the battery of the PlayStation 4 controller like your dad drains milk out of a man in a brothel. Some of you might be thinking, well, what does this matter? It's audio. You don't really... If it's being recorded through the Elgato and through the PC, surely you're getting audio through the PC. Yes, but it is through a delay, a 35-second delay on average, I think. It's been between about 20 to 35, something like that, and it's fine. But I don't know if you've ever tried to play a game with an audio sync or a video sync issue, but playing something like Dark Souls or Dungeons 3, Red Dead Redemption, Bloodborne, Doom, Fallout, all of them, they're very integral with audio. You need audio to say, hey, look, there's a thing here. It's coming up. Ooh. You may have even noticed it last week when I did the F1 2020 review. I was having a bit of trouble getting traction out of Turn 4 in Austria because audio is important to driving. You need to pick up the throttle at the right moment, changing gear at the right moment, doing all these things to pick up traction going through corners with a car that is not really meant to be used as a car. Yes, the actual cars themselves don't have any traction control, so they're quite slippy. And picking up traction, or, picking up speed and getting grip is quite difficult if you don't know what the car is doing, and you need to listen to the car itself in real time to know what it is doing. That's one of the many issues that I find with the PlayStation 4. It is a god-awful system if you want to record or stream or do anything outside of the actual system itself. The system itself hates any idea that you would want audio, that you would want anything that's, useful. Of course, some of you may be thinking, but why does this actually matter? It's just a YouTuber thing or a Twitch streamer or whatever. Mix. Ah, Mixer. You died a death before you were even born. Anyway, yes, some might be thinking, but this only matters to those people who do things with the streaming and the such. Well, that's the thing. This generation has not been about the games. It's not been about any leap in graphical fidelity. It's not been about anything other than streaming. Yes, the PlayStation 4 has pushed particle effects like no other. It is beautiful when you see all the particle effects, and it's very pretty and ooh, yay! But for the most part, the system itself is not pushing any grounds. It's not doing anything inventive. It's not trying to do anything new for everyone. It's not trying to push anything spectacular for the user. It's pushing streaming, it's pushing sharing, it's pushing that bloody share button on the PlayStation 4 controller that is useless, and I hate it. The entire system is built around the next generation of twats on YouTube. That's who it's for. That's what this entire generation has been for. The Xbox One does the exact same. It tries to push, ooh, look, you can share things to the club and this and that and the next thing. And who cares? Who genuinely cares about sharing things to Twitter? Why do you share things to Twitter? I don't care that you found a boat full of cats in Assassin's Creed or, let's say, Watch Dogs 2 or soon to be Watch Dogs Legion. Why should I care about some arsehole on Twitter sharing their picture of God knows what when I could play a game myself. I could do things myself. That's what this entire generation has been about. It's about sharing, hey, look at this thing. Yes, sure, what I'm doing now is talking about my opinion, going, hey, look, I'm sharing this thing, and things, ooh, look. But I'm doing it through a different means than, hey, no one here cares about this thing, and okay, yes, that is me. The sharing functionality is good if you want to share your pictures of God knows what and Christ knows where and what and why, and why should I care unless it's a bug or unless it's something important to the game? I don't really care. I don't care unless it's sharing a bug with the developer or doing something else. That's fine. That sounds like a good thing to have. But sharing God knows what to Twitter, I don't care. I don't care that the trophies come up and go, oh, look, you've won this thing. No one cares. No one cares. However, to return to my point, the audio jack filters only to, well, the audio jack, not the HDMI port. Why? Christ knows, even though this is meant to be the generation of sharing and exporting and uploading and such and so on, Sony cocked up and said you can only share with our system in real time with your audio. Why? Why? I genuinely hate recording with your god-awful design and Christ knows what. Which reminds me, the Alien Labia. Yes, that new console, the PlayStation 5. Jesus Christ, I hope that thing learns from this mistake. I hope beyond Christ that in some way, shape or form, there is something of a saving grace for those that do want to share, those that do end up recording, those that do end up sharing their gameplay and such and so on, because, well, that's the only thing that Sony seem to be going for. That's all that both major console manufacturers seem to be focusing on. It's about sharing a moment. I don't care about your moment. I want my moment. I want to sit and play Shadow of the Colossus and watch a big monster die and then feel a bit sad because that is important. I want that sad moment to myself. I don't care that Tommy Bumblefeck has decided to share his moment. Yes, the next generation is focusing more on 4K, which I think is absolutely useless because I've played games in 4K and, well, they're not exactly revolutionary. They're not a grand step forward. They're not doing anything particularly exciting, but the 60 FPS thing, yeah, I like the idea of that. I like the idea of playing games at a proper frame rate, but, and this is important, I don't care about your resolutions. I don't care about upping graphical fidelity because we've already hit what is considered near photorealistic. It's nice. It's all very pretty, but I don't care. Stop pushing that and give people a bit more functionality. Stop locking off the systems that are entirely useless with UI that is dreadful, and give people something that they can work with if they're going to share things or if they're going to do things. It's more accessible. It's more fun. Give people accessible controls. Give people more accessible features for whatever they are doing, including sharing, even though I don't like the sharing idea, but I will still fight for accessibility in that field because, well, I'm one of the pricks. I've yet to find anyone who can accurately describe why the PlayStation 4 has this system, why we need this system in place where you only have audio through one or the other. Because, well, the Xbox One already does that. Already does that in bucket loads. You can have 5.1 surround sound, or you can have stereo. You can have specific audio features for each output. Before, I was a stout disavowor of the Xbox. I absolutely hated the Xbox 360 because, well, I just don't like the controller. I don't think it's worth playing on the console if I don't like the controller at all. This is why I herald the Xbox One Elite controller as the best console controller in history. And I will fight people to the death on that one. The Xbox One as a whole, the reason I play on that, the reason I like that system in general is because of its rather open focus. It's got more to it than, hey, things are kind of maybe... Sony's rather closed off system, which only provides you with one output of audio, is just crap. The entire UI is a bit crap. Not to say that the Xbox is much better, but it does provide you with a little more freedom. It does give you a bit more oomph when you want to play. It gives you more to piss about with, for lack of a better term. You can have HDMI audio and 7.1 or stereo or whatever you want. Well, you have optical audio and Christ knows what else, and so on and so forth. And yet still you can have your headset audio as uncompressed stereo or Windows Sonic, whatever that is. It's all nice. I like that. That's more open. You give a bit more freedom. I'm going to praise your system a bit more because I have more to work with. I can do things and I can piss about. I mean, I'll moan about the graphics being a bit of a pain in the arse when I have issues, but it's fine. I like the Xbox One Elite controller and I like the Xbox One a bit more than I thought I ever would. The PlayStation 4 this generation has been a massive pain in the arse, mostly because of audio. It's a fine system. It's got great exclusives, more than the Xbox One, I'll tell you that for free. And that's it. There's nothing that makes me want to stop and switch over to the PlayStation, other than F1 2020. So, here is hoping that my 25-minute rant, Jesus Christ, has convinced someone at Sony to pull their finger out their arse and do something about the PlayStation 5 in the lead up to its release. They won't, will they? Bastards.
Down the hatch.
Go fuck yourself.
You been in town, Lo?
Oh,
Well, you probably heard everyone
No
talking about
sense
the
rushing.
curse here. Maybe not. Folk reckon luck runs bad in this town, and the superstitious
Here.
among them reckon that ain't no coincidence.